welcome back to Dark Woke, your direct link to all things politics, comedy, and culture. I am your host, Janaya Future Khan, champ yapper and frequent nuisance in the activist and comedy worlds. Let's get dialed in. But just before we jump, Dark Woke is a self-funded, self-produced show. We're on Patreon/Dark Woke. I am so grateful for all the support and for you just taking the time to listen. Okay, as it is every day, we got it stacked. We're doing a follow-up on the Lovett versus Maher debate. I love that. We're just like, should trannies have rights? That's that's where we are. That's where we are. That's where we're at. Love that. Love that. But I did read your comments. I'm getting better at it because, it's just, I get so wrapped up in the research and the reading and the, whatever. But it's like, I got to be out there. The community that we're building is the best part of my day/night. It really is. And I was like, oh, great. Oh, I'm so glad this line resonated or, and I'm enjoying this kind of breakdown because that political education piece is so peak. And like, let's every one of us be based. You know what I mean? Oh, for my favorites, it's an internet term. When it's just like your politics are solid, you're based. Yeah, I got you. Don't worry. I got you. We're going to be hitting up some of that Die Linke work out in Germany and how they're fucking crushed it. And then what our shit fuck Congress has been up to. I hope this finds you in the best possible mood. And if not, then I intend to get you there. I have to read you something really funny that I have not been able to let go of today. And then I'm going to read you something an idiot wrote. But this made me laugh. It's horrible. I'm burdening you with what I've been burdened with. Somebody put in their stories, I accidentally blew vape smoke on a baby today. And I do genuinely feel bad about it. But all I can do now is just keep moving forwards. I've been laughing about it. The circumstances. How did we even get there? Other things that I have found very, very funny. Okay, somebody, yes, it's in my stories, but indulge me. Not everybody's watching IG like that. Somebody said everybody mask until that roach start flying. Oh, that made me laugh. But here's one of my favorites. Okay, so I love Dolly Parton. So this is a quote that she had to the Hollywood Reporter. I've got transgender people, I've got gays, I've got lesbians, I've got drunks, I've got drug addicts, all within my own family. I know them, I know and love them all, and I do not judge. What I love is the word association here. It's just like, I fuck with all the wretched of the earth. These are my people, the addicts and the lesbians, the trannies and the drunks. It's just the gays and the drug addicts. The word association is really sweet. No Dolly Parton slander will ever be tolerated over here. I love her so much, but that shit made me laugh. It made me laugh. But here's a great way to tee up the conversation we'll be getting into today. Do you remember for the OGs? You'll remember that I have talked about a POS, a real piece of shit named Christopher Rufo, right? Christopher Rufo is the architect of the anti-critical race theory work. Remember that back in the day when it was really critical race theory was only taught in actual like legal institutions for people who were pursuing like law degrees. They wanted to practice law. Essentially, that's what critical race theory was taught. That's who it was made for. But then this whole campaign turned into anti-Black history, Black scholars in high positions. So think, President Claudine Gay, who was who was the president of Harvard. It became a campaign to oust Black scholars in high positions. That all turned into book bans. So book bans on history, Black history, any kind of LGBTQ content. He then led a full culture war, right? So any kind of LGBTQ representation and things like Disney, he attacked. And he's really led a lot of the culture work, the anti-DEI, anti-LGBTQ culture work. So here's a tweet of his, right? This was on the 25th, so this just happened. There is a battalion of male to female transgenders within the American intelligence apparatus. They hate Italians and libs of TikTok. Oh, she's a fucking, I hate her. I hate her so much. They fantasize about pseudo vaginas and butthole lasers. He spelled lasers with a Z. They are in charge of the most sophisticated spying machine in human history. There's so much here. First of all, right? We know what you're watching in Pornhub. Like truly. Butthole lasers? Pseudo vaginas, right? Battalion of male to female transgenders within the American intelligence apparatus. Are you talking about Chelsea Manning? Like who are you even talking about here? Where are you going with this? Who are they? Who are you talking about? And then he says that we hate Italians. And I'm like, first of all, not in this house. Not in this house. Okay? But where did it come from? First of all, Chaya Raychek, who lives of TikTok, she is such a fucking dud. She's got 6.5 brain cells. She's in her bird brain. Like, imagine that the best you can do, right? Because they retweet you everything. You're not even talented. They didn't bring you in, bitch. You and Cat Turd are on the same level of loser. They don't care about you. You're not smart enough. You're not bigoted enough because all you can do is repost other people's shit. You don't have a thought of your own. But here's my favorite, right? We need to look at this shit because the second that we fire, like the second that we put these fucking losers in our crosshairs, they're over. This thing doesn't make any sense. It makes me laugh. Italians. First of all, Mangione, you bitch. No, we don't fucking hate Italians in this house, but this is my pseudo vaginas. This is his way of saying fake vaginas. But bitch, you don't even know. What are you, phony vaginas, right? Not genuine. Sham-ginas. Like, where are you going with this? Where are you? Pseudo vaginas, mock vaginas, ersatz vaginas, imitation vaginas. This is just, I just can't. This is so weak. Butthole lasers. And this is my favorite thing. In charge of the most sophisticated spying machine in human history. What is that? Do they know about my drones? Did they find out about my drones? My point is they're corny. They're the corniest of the corny. The only reason that we are taking any hits at all from this side is because we don't have our shit together yet. And we're going to. I feel very confident about that. But we don't have our shit together yet. And a huge reason is because of our loser fucking leadership. We cannot. We are having a hard time backing the Dems because of the establishment Dems. They are absolute fucking shit. 100%. What we're not doing a good enough job of, and I think we're doing a better job here on this show, is really identifying the Democrats who are fucking gangster, right? Whether that's Warren, Sanders, Tim Kaine, but really what we're seeing, because that's like on the senator level, but it's really the reps. They're gangsters, right? They're not taking super PAC money from fucking corporations and big pharma and big oil and all this shit. They are the groundswell movement. They are put in power by their constituents, but they're being smushed by the establishment Dems. So, and then the left, I think we have to get past this idea that our job is to criticize Democrats only. Like, we have more smoke for Dems than we do for fascists. That being said, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be. It's like, I would like to see fire. We should be setting fires on the fascists, right? And then smoking out the shit Dems. That's what I'm for, because I cannot criticize us because we don't have enough separation in language, right? So when we say Democrats, who are we? We need to be clear about who we're talking about. But I'm really never gonna fucking honestly. When I listen to Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries, do you know what? I'm just gonna say, I learned something. I learned something today. It was really funny. Somebody was having a good time because they found out that 110 languages have now been added to Google Translate, right? Like, and some really out there shit. But one of the funnest ones has been they have patois on it, which proper English is Jamaican patois, but no, we said patois. It's just kind of funny because people have been translating shit and have fun with it. Like I say, go in and play with it. Google Translate. You want to get in right before the casual racism takes over, right? But I saw this thing or somebody wrote somebody put in, I think I'm going to kill myself. And then it translates to me think me I'll go kill myself. But what's funny is it won't say it. So hold on. Let me see if I can pull this up and play it. It just makes me laugh. Like I've been playing around with it, but hold on. Let me see. Google Translate. Okay, let's see. Let's see if she can say it. Hold on. Can you hear me typing? Okay. Okay, listen. Let's see if she says it. Because I've been saving it for this because I'm just like, will she say it? So I switched it because usually you go English to Jamaican patois, but then it doesn't translate. So I switched it from Jamaican patois to English so that I could force it to say it. Let's see if it says it. Hold on.
Am I tink me a go kill myself?
Okay, it's me. It's am I as in me, but hold on. Let me just.
Am I tink me a go kill myself?
Every time I read the news, y'all, every time I read the news, this has got to be a fucking running bit. But I bring this up because I'm about to play something of Hakeem to you. So Stephen A. James, who I pulled up the other day. Stephen A. James. What am I talking about? No, Stephen Smith. Stephen A. Smith. Sorry. My favorite yelling black man. He was talking to Hakeem Jeffries, who, as you know, has been upsetting me. Shut up, Hakeem. Shut up, Hakeem. But I'm going to play this clip for you so that you can know where we're at, right? You can know where we're at. Because don't forget, we just lost Medicaid today, right? That's what the Republicans voted for. I'm going to pull all of my little threads together. Don't worry. But I realized I wanted to massage you into a little more anger about this situation we're in, right? Okay. So what we know is that low-income Americans, right, who initially voted for Trump were counting on him to keep their benefits intact, even while he supercharged his cabinet with fucking Republican lawmakers who hate any kind of social spending, who hate poor people, who are greedy, rapacious dogs, who would take every single fucking dime and squeeze it out of the American populace. So even though they did all that, he said groceries, and apparently that was enough. He mentioned egg prices, which everybody was really upset about on their side, but now suddenly not. So today, right? So let me just preface. Medicaid covers, right, 21% of Americans nationally, right? 83 million low-income Americans, 4 in 10 children, 4 in 10 children, 4 in 10 children, right? 1 in 4 adults with disabilities, and nearly 50% of kids with special needs, right? That's what Medicaid currently covers, right? It covers 41% of births nationwide, 5 in 8 nursing home residents, right? And 32% of people in Mike Johnson's state. This is currently the Speaker of the House of Reps, right? So how did we do? How did we do with Medicaid on the ballot. Let's be really clear about this. All but one House Republican just voted to cut Medicaid. Jasmine Crockett, one of the reps that you know, I know, and we know is a fucking gangster, right? Has called time and time again for Dems to shut down Congress, do everything that they can, every fucking thing that they can, right? Let me see if I can, I can't remember if I have that clip of her talking about it. She was on The View. Gosh, we got so much on the, Jesus. You know, I get so ambitious and then I'm always worried that I'm not going to have enough, you know, because I really want to make this so worth your time. And, and then I always run out of time because I won't shut up. But so she was on The View and she was saying we should shut down government. And I think I lost the clip. I did find a little white boy dressed like Allen Iverson though. He's adorable. Anyway, yeah, I think it's lost because I refuse to pay for their subscription service on X. So my bookmarks are all over the place, but it's okay. I can find it anyway. But the key point was that she was like, we got to shut it down. We should not be participating with them, with the GOP in any way, shape, or form. We should essentially, she's saying we should try to make their lives as difficult as possible. And I love that playbook. I think it's important. And it's really what they need to do, as we talked about, is create that groundswell and really shore up our support. Tap into the people who are furious now, because we know that we have a long way to go. No, this is a different clip. Say Sleepy Joe would have been better because, okay, I just have to let it go just for now. Especially the picture you need to see with the leading next generation knows that what we asked about the other guys to do to right the ship and win again. If this is the, okay, let me just, no, this is a 5-minute clip. Okay, I'm going to let it go, but I am going to pull up this clip to remind you of who the fuck we're talking about because she's incredible. I don't even have time to make it fancy and pull it up. Just listen, just have a listen, right? So this is a reporter who's asking Jasmine Crockett a question about Elon Musk.
If you could speak directly to Elon Musk, what would you say?
Fuck off.
That's it.
Okay. I just needed to remind us of who she was. Anyway, so she's like, we should shut it. We should just get under their skin. We should do everything that we can to disrupt them, right? That's Jasmine Crockett. You've heard AOC break shit down. Bernie Sanders, my little matzo ball, my little old guy. He's out here running around, on a campaign trail, talking about oligarchy, right? He's doing some good shit. Here's Hakeem Jeffries, right? Here's what Hakeem Jeffries is doing. So again, he's talking to Stephen A. Smith. And why don't you have a listen? Why don't we have a listen?
Well, listen, the extreme left protests me more than they protest Donald Trump. Because literally, wherever I go. So I think in part because I've declined, I've refused, I've chosen not to bend the knee to either people on the far left and certainly not to Donald Trump.
This guy is a fucking loser. He's a fucking loser. These people are a cancer on the democratic process. Like, first of all, why are you bitching? Right? They protest me more. You are so weak. You are so weak, right? All he's done is bitch about how people have been calling to say that they're pissed off, that we're just going to wait and see. We can't do anything. This on if we're still on Black History Month, no. This is exactly who we were warned about by every freedom fighter, every revolutionary. This is who Martin Luther King warned us about. The do nothing liberal, right? And sure, the insinuation around it doesn't, but we're so past identitarianism, right? This guy, Hakeem Jeffries, fucking sucks. And remember the logic of cancer. Why I specifically use that word, right? Because cancer, growth for the sake of growth, or replication of exactly the same thing in the wrong place in the wrong time. That is what cancer is. That's the logic of it. These people function from that. Establishment Dems they need to go. They are a rot. They are not they are relics of a different time. And to not only to bitch at a time when we need here, you can roll up your sleeves and loosen your collar as much as you want, you bright-eyed bitch. I don't like you, right? You want to, that false equivalence, right, between the far left and the far right, we already know that that's bullshit. Are there idiots on our side who are allowed, like, one of the most egregious things I've ever seen was the stupid ass sign some Bush queers are holding up with fucking green hair that was like, thanks for Hamas. If I could have karate chopped those two idiots in the throat, I would have, because they clearly have never read a fucking book in their life, right? But that's not the far left, right? And let's be literal. Even if they were saying the far left, right? They're talking about Antifa, the movement that they all shit on that literally said that they were anti-fascists, right? Okay. To compare those folks, right? To compare us even, I'd put us in it. We'd be probably classified as the far left. To the people who are in office, to the status quo, to the people who are gutting services, social services, public goods, right? To compare us to the people who have created book bans on just regular American history, of rolled back civil rights, reproductive justice and women's rights, fucking voter rights, everything, worker protections, right? Who are gutting any kind of corporate oversight and regulation, who have literally caused planes to fall from the fucking sky. There's been so many stories of close calls, right? People are dying because of deregulation on fucking cantaloupes and lunch meats. And he is saying that we are the same as them. This person is unfit for fucking leadership. He's unfit for, go away. Go. Is there a place where we can send, Republican white women and like stupid light skins? I just feel like light skinned men in particular. Drake, Hakeem Jeffrey, just go away. You bother me. You're not who the fuck we need, and Stephen A. Smith should be our next. No, he shouldn't. This guy, he doesn't know enough either. And that's not his job. He knows sports. But the fact that this is where he's running to, you fucking loser.
And the far right. We all have a responsibility to serve the people we were elected to represent. And
why does he sound like Herschel Walker? That's the real question. Does this nigga have CTE? Does he? Why does he sound like Herschel Walker? Why isn't he talking?
The country and the Constitution. And I certainly have not been bashful and will not be bashful in disagreeing with people who are trying to take this country in a direction that
to disagreeing with people
doesn't lift everybody up.
Who he's not being bashful about disagreeing with people who are taking the country in a different direction. Like, are we hearing this lukewarm, this tepid fucking porridge bullshit? I'm sorry. This was supposed to be the fastest part of today's episode, but I'm so fucking pissed off at this. I made myself mad by reading, and those stats, for the record, those Medicaid stats are pulled from a Washington Post article from December 2024. If you want them, but it made me this made me angry to know that happened, that's happened. Right, we're in the process of absolutely getting it gutted, and that this is how this man is talking.
Whether that comes from the right or whether that comes from the far left.
We have to kill. We have two options with this far left bullshit, right? We have to kill it, which is fine. It's really easy to just come up with a better fucking line of slogan, or we own it and reframe what that is, right? What is the far left for? Bread on the table, money in the bank, whatever, whatever it is. But, just generally though, ignoring it might also work. Like people have tried to make the far left catch so much, but because there's such a deep Republican, information or disinformation ecosystem, they're now bleeding across. And this weak bitch, Hakeem Jeffries, shut up, Hakeem. Oh, you know what? How did that make me? How do I feel? Listen, every time I listen to Hakeem Jeffries talk,
Am I think me a go kill myself?
that's how I feel. That's right. Every fucking time Hakeem Jeffries says something,
Am I think me a go kill myself?
okay, I can't stand him. I can't stand fucking Schumer. We deserve better. So we have to find a way to create distinctions between the establishment Dems, and it could be just that name, and the Democrats that actually are fighting and are working and, that have that kind of expertise. Because the truth is, the people who are the biggest fucking yappers, the most annoying parts of the left, they have zero interest in building power. And we need to be in coalition with every single person who understands what our mandate is. Our mandate is to build power and to stop the consolidation of power on the right by any fucking means necessary. We have got to be hungry for power, because when we do not engage, this is where we end up. And actually, this is a perfect time to just, I just want to play this really quick, because I want to remind you what we're up against. And I know it seems like it seems so gargantuan, right? So impossible. I want to remind you how deeply unfucking serious and incompetent these people are. They are playing in our faces, right? And people like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer are the fucking, and they are doing the same. I didn't even mean to be swearing this much, but it's like 1-something a.m. I guess it's just, the gloves are off and I haven't eaten enough today. So I'm telling you, I'm eating this food right now. So this is a person named Letitia, who was she's one of the federal workers, right? What federal employees who received one of those emails, right? That was like, what did you do this week, right? I want to play this for you because this is insider information, but it also reminds you of what culture we're fighting against, right? Because it's easy we got to let go of this idea that having money means that you're fucking smart. Are you kidding me? God, I miss the days when we fucking hated billionaires. Fuck me. It was a great time.
The email. What did you do last week? It's insulting. It's disrespectful to the work that federal workers do every single day.
And for folks who, I'm reminding myself that most of us listen to the audio. We do have video on YouTube, just so you know. But Letitia is a Veteran Affairs federal worker, and this is a segment cut from Democracy Now!
As you mentioned earlier, it caused mass confusion, also concern for privacy and the security of the very sensitive and confidential information federal workers handle every single day. This is a game to Doge. This is a game to Elon. He has acknowledged that it is a ruse.
This is a fucking game for them.
And federal workers are learning and understanding that this is all a ruse, right? It's under the guise of efficiency, of accountability, but we know the rude awakening that Elon calls it, or the second dose of reality, which is his real goal, is to gut public services in the federal workforce and pave the way for privatization of public services, goods, and programs that we all need and love.
You see, this is not like they're incompetent, they're careless, they're cruel. And they have no desire to govern. They're there to loot and to gut, and that's it, right? And so the hyperfixation on trans people, of course, is just one of the things that they've thrown out in our faces. And it comes up over and over and over again. Somebody like Hakeem Jeffries would absolutely roll over when it came to trans rights, right? At different points in time, just like John Lovett was on his segment with Bill Maher, right? You know, the Democrats need to get off of this hill. They're on this hill. What fucking hill, right? What hill? It's manufactured. I came across something that really, I found disturbing. Of course, a lot of people were playing. A lot of the right-wing people were playing the John Lovett segments as proof of their correctness. Right? They were saying, "Look, Bill Maher knows." And he cited these things. So I'm about to go into it for a second, but I want to play this. It's like literally a 25-second clip. Right before we get into it. So this clip is from Trump 2024 film. Like they had their little film. And before we like roll our eyes, I want to remind us where these fucking people get their information from. Like that ecosystem, right? It's pretty much everything in the manosphere. But think of QAnon, right? That was something that was nothing and then became something. And how did it become something? A propaganda video. That's literally it. That was people's entry point into it. And that's it. They made a video. And a lot of unwell people watched it. And that has connections to Gamergate, and all this other shit, or Pizzagate, all this other shit, right? And then all the way up to January 6th. So we can't diminish how important it is for us to get our shit out there, whatever it is, because you never know who needs your words or your thoughts or your and it sounds so stupid and so small, but this is where the fight is right now. This is the town hall. This is the culture. The time for mass mobilization is not yet here, and it needs to be done differently than it ever has before. So I don't want you to think that when you're reading this article or when you watch that video or when you wrote that thing down or when you read that book or, whatever it is that you've done, right? You're not doing enough. The one thing I will push us all to do is to connect to a campaign that's run by organizers whose job it is to do that, right? Because that work continues whether or not, while you manage the relentless responsibility. Why does being an adult suck so fucking much? What the fuck is this? This sucks. I'm responsible for me. Have you met me? Me? Ugh. I'm not over it. I'm not over it. I don't know if I'm ever going to get over it, but this sucks. When it really hit me that being an adult it's never not hard. It's just deciding what kind of hard you choose. That made it was both, obviously, depending on your mood, it's incredibly empowering, but also shit. There's nothing wrong with soft sometimes or fun. God damn it. Anyway, let me play this piece of shit person. I want to tell you who he is. Because I wrote it. Where did I write it down? Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. I don't need it right now. This piece of shit, his name is Dr. Paul, I want to say McHugh, but I do want to look it up. Weird. I definitely wrote this down in my notes because you guys know I'm weird and I make 20 page. Here we go. This is I have it. This is a quote from him, right? This is Dr. Paul McHugh. This is a quote from him, so you know who you're about to deal with. Transgenderism is the only mental illness demanding that the rest of society adopt the patient's delusion as part of the patient's treatment. So, yeah, that's who we're dealing with. Just want to pull this up right here. Here we go. Listen to him.
He said, had you ever voted for a Republican before? And a fellow on the street corner said, no. How about your wife? Same. Your union, the same. He said, well, why did you vote for Trump?
So, to be clear, some sort of story where two people, right, husband and wife, never voted for Trump before. They voted for Donald Trump. So he said, well, why did you vote for Trump? Like, what made you vote for it? What would you vote for him?
And in one sentence, He said, I was convinced that Democrats were more interested in some man showering with my daughter in her locker room than they were in me having a job.
Now, that is undoubtedly one of the dumbest things you've ever heard in your life. But that is very symbolic of the moment that we're in. It is very, very symbolic. Like they have painted, it's so funny because establishment Dems don't give a fuck about trans people, right? But they've made it so that somehow that's the thing that the Democrats, trans people are the thing that Democrats care about, right? The Democrats care too much about identity politics. And meanwhile, nobody cares about trans people, right? Like, not really, except, like, you know, and when I say nobody, I'm not talking about, you know, the reps. That's not what I'm talking about. But in terms of establishment Dems, and historically, they just haven't cared. It was largely a response to Trump being anti-trans. They were like, oh, see, we care, but they didn't care enough, right? They didn't care enough. The way that they didn't care enough about abortion and just taking big swings and codifying shit the way that, and then we lost the Supreme Court, and then all these things sort of, but the thing that pisses me off is that we are kind of stuck in this weird place where the people who are, they keep saying are our people are not actually our people, but also everybody on this side, we've got a coalition build. So let's go back now with that framing into that debate, right? I'm not going to I'm not going to replay everything, but it was yesterday's episode is super important. And we talked about how, Bill Maher made certain points like, entrapment was a term he used, which having now a little bit of time, right, sitting with it. And then he made another assertion, which is that of risk, right, that it's a risky business. And then John Lovett says, yeah, that, there are risks, and it's really interesting. Here's where I think we tend to fail across the left quite a bit. And I don't even want to say across the left. This is just 101, but just having thought about it, right? Again, everything that Bill Maher said came across as very reasonable, very balanced for the most part, right? He's more informed. He's a skilled debater. He casts scrutiny with very little effort. But one thing that they do, and one thing that people do in general that we find ourselves in weird positions of, is that they make assertions and we give explanations, right? So like they make assertions and they say something, and then our job is to disprove the thing that they said. And that can be really a good example is when I was in university, right? So I'm in college, and I mentioned black on black crime I mentioned that was what came at me. I mentioned the ways that violence happened against black communities. And remember, I'm green, right? I'm a greenhorn. I'm just learning shit at scale for the first time. And this guy goes, what about black on black crime? My job at that moment is to disprove, right, that black people are disproportionately hurting other black people. And then in order to do so, I have to prove that racism exists. Where do you start? And then everything just slams against your frontal lobe. I don't know if that's actually how it works. And you almost don't know what to say. Where do you start that conversation? And that was the point. The point was to make us explain. Right? But so they derailed. And I've talked about the five ways that people try to hijack conversations. And it was actually from this incident that I made this list. I wrote it out. All the things that I'd been, experiencing. And the number one tool that they use is derailment, right? So if you derail something, I've made this point, they will derail the point by using a catchphrase or term that is very easy to remember. So we say, it's like, when there's violence, disproportionate systemic racism, and they say black on black crime, right? We say gender affirming care and trans people, and he says entrapment. So when somebody hits you with that derailment, you're like, fuck, I have to No. You hit him back. It's one tactic. There's many, but you hit him back. Are you saying that black lives aren't worth protecting? That's not what he said, but he was He doesn't need to. Now he's on the back foot. Or are you saying, whatever question it could be, right? So he said, what about black on black crime? I could also mock it, right? Oh, what about white on white crime? What about refrigerators? What about this? What about that? We're just saying words here that are disconnected from anything that we're talking about. Should I keep going on? Sometimes humor is the thing, but what we don't do is we don't give ground. And when we offer explanations versus making points, right? We have already accepted the assertion as valid, right? And then what they do, and what Maher did in this, and you can see that Maher did it really well, is that he finds gaps. So the more that John Lovett spoke, right? And I encourage you again, if you haven't listened to it, to go ahead, because I in the interest of time, but it's all there, right? The more that Lovett spoke, the more that Maher could pick it apart, right? And one of the most damning parts of it was, because the entrapment argument to me was actually really easy. It's like, and they did this thing with race and it's happening. It's an anecdotal fallacy, right? It's one of those words like ontology. When you throw it out there, you just sound like a fucking genius. But it's also really helpful. An anecdotal fallacy is when someone presents something that they've personally experienced or a singular story and presents it as objective fact, right? It's an anecdotal fallacy. Like I could say, oh, this thing happened to me. Like, this thing happened to me. And then now I'm making, because this, what's a good example of, okay. A white person goes to an South Asian school and then gets bullied in that school for being white. And then is running around now and saying, actually, reverse racism is real. And you say, okay, well, why is reverse racism real? Like, why do you believe that? Well, because this thing happened to me. That's an anecdotal fallacy, right? You're drawing a conclusion based on a very specific, contextual, situational moment in time and trying to make an argument over it. So to me, like, you're actually entrapping in the entrapment. But damn, doesn't it sound like... And what makes the word entrapment particularly insidious is that trans women in particular are accused of different kinds of entrapment all the time. Did you disclose that you were trans? Did he know? You're using the women's bathroom, right? There's all these ways that trans women are accused of different levels of entrapment as it is. So it's very, very insidious, a very specific use of the word. Now, lastly, and I was reading through different reactions, different comments, different posts about this debate, this quote unquote debate on trans rights. It's hardly a debate. I'm not finding fault with John Lovett, right? Everything is easier when you can sit there and respond and react to something. But I am disappointed at how badly that our side performs. And I don't see that as their singular fault. I see that as our fault, because we are not willing enough to make certain kinds of assertions and then fight for those things to be right. We've historically refused to engage, and I think we can't have political education that way, right? We have to engage, and I do think Maher had a point when he said that anytime people ask questions, they're immediately referred to as transphobic. That is very true. And thinking about it, I'm like, it's not really, it's the they-thems. Like, they ruined it. You know what I mean? You don't know my pronoun. And it's like, bitch, I don't know what you're all of it or none of it. I don't know. Anyway, I understand where it comes from, but the energy was put in the wrong place. It was any type of questioning or curiosity or uncertainty was inherent, was just called transphobic, and that became too much the cultural norm. But this is what happens when you have white people who don't have enough outlets. We need outlets in our activism, because otherwise, right, the activism that we activate is how I can flex on the person around me, right? So we're using our own folks to sharpen our swords. Stupid shit. Anywho, the point that was, to me, his strongest case was when he cites this study that was withheld by that the New York Times reported was withheld because the person who had determined that gender affirming care was in fact was more complicated or more dangerous than we thought, didn't want to release that those findings, because it could be weaponized, right? That to me should have been there. There's so many points, right, that should have been interjected, including a very Jon Stewart like, why do you care so much about this? Right? Because that you care about children and you gotta massage them, right? That you care about children is so clear. You've talked about this far more extensively than you've talked about children starving in the country, right? Lunch programs or shooters. That these are killing children far more than any. Like this, changing this actually does nothing to save children's lives or to stop harm on any meaningful level. So why do you care so much about this? Put them on the back foot, right? That never happened, which is upsetting and annoying. But here's the thing: that was the most damning. And that when I looked in the right wing yapper fucking whatever. In these backlogs and in the comments or whatever, this was the thing that they used the most, right? But here's the thing. So this was the assertion, just to be clear. The New York Times claimed that a prominent gender researcher, right, determined that this person said that a U.S. study went unpublished because of politics, right? That was it. So the document in question is a New York Times article, and this was the actual quote, right? Olson Kennedy, so this is one of the lead researchers, explained that she was being meticulous with one of the registered studies on puberty blockers because she didn't want her findings to, quote, be weaponized, adding that the work, quote, had to be exactly on point, clear and concise. I want to be clear that, first of all, that was one in like 21 studies. So that right there adds layers. And then the author, the reporter, the journalist who wrote this article, Goriashi, used that quote that Olson Kennedy made. And Olson Kennedy, for the record, is a fucking fire human being, like truly a gangster, right? When it comes to this, very smart. But Goriashi, the journalist, used that quote that I just read to you to imply that Olson Kennedy was withholding research for political reasons. So when Maher was like, this happened, right? This was withheld. Do you know what you say at that point? You say, I didn't know that you would so carelessly accept a reporter's bias. Because that was clear. Like this was, I thought that you were I thought you scrutinized, bias. I thought that was like your whole thing, because this clearly was an obvious tilt. So it seems like you do that unless it supports what you want to believe. Defend, you got to make, and it's weird doing this by myself in a hole, and but I do want, and I hope this isn't too like laborious and annoying, but there's a way where you have to put people on the defense or force them to explain their position. The more that we talk, the more holes we leave, the more gaps, the more places. And because we over-explain and over-analyze, because we care, we fucking care. That's why, right? That is often used and manipulated. So John Lovett does a lot more explaining and Bill Maher does a lot more asserting. You see the difference? Major difference in energy. One came across as a soy boy and one came across as vaguely disinterested, a little bit cantankerous, and very much annoyed and irritated by the lack of power that was presented. And it's true, it was not contentious. Jon Stewart and Bill Maher would have a very different interaction. And when you get personalities like that, Bill Maher is put in his place. Although, he, for somebody who's like weird and old and kind of like in his ways, because, gangster older people are fucking the best. but he will still, he won't hold a grudge. He'll kind of just still roll with it. And I do appreciate that about him. I've done it again. I've talked too fucking much. Anyway, you're taking, but this key right here, right, is so important because this is a guy who says, I'm balanced. I'm the guy who comes in and makes sense of the thing. So when you challenge that, rather than just say, this is trans healthcare, no, you say but that article clearly had such a finger on the scale. You didn't find that odd? He might say no, but every time that they are forced to explain or prove something, you have weakened their position on some level. The other points, of course, and I'm not going to belabor it, but who is somebody? Aaron in the morning has a Substack that fact checks everything that the New York Times that article published, so that that's on her Substack. She's a trans woman, one of those white trans women that are essential, but only knows how to talk about being trans. And like low-key essential in this moment, but also high-key annoying to the larger, broader movement coalition that we need. But I really got to wrap. How is it that I keep adding more time? You should have kept the reins on me because I'm out of control. Anyway, it's some bullshit. It was one of, there were 28 peer-reviewed papers, right? Many of which where Olson Kennedy was the co-author. And it goes over everything from the positive effects of hormone therapy to puberty blockers. And because they did studies all over the place, but because American children tended to have higher mental health scores than average kids, puberty blockers did not very intensely increase their mental health happiness, or essentially their mental health. It didn't increase it, but that was because of that. It also talks about the fact that overwhelmingly the results were positive. But again, we have to keep challenging, right? Why this became such, because they say, and they both accept in that debate, yeah, this is a salient point. Nobody asked why. Like, this is a salient, it's a salient point of debate. Why? Why is it that? It shouldn't be that. It shouldn't. We need to right size how obsessed people are with trans people. A big part of what we can do on the left is is the obsession that trans people have with ourselves, right? And listen, I say that with a lot of care and a lot of compassion, but there has been, and I understand why, right? But there has been my experiences matter so fucking much. It's somebody got my pronoun wrong and that's violent. No, it's not. I'm sorry. I'm a nignog. Okay. Like, people notice that I'm black before they realize I don't have titties. That is not fucking violence. It is fucked up if somebody is harassing you and bullying you and all that shit. That, okay. Totally. That's violence. We have words for that. But somebody misgendering you, that's not fucking violent. It hurt your feelings. But words have to have larger meanings. And that is a contentious point that I will bring on a panel and we can debate about it one day. And I'm so serious about that. I'm not being facetious because, just because I believe something doesn't mean what I say goes. But I mean, like I've mentioned in the past, I'm an organizer first and foremost. I'm a service worker. It's not about you understanding me. My job is to understand you and to be there for you, right? And to fight for the thing. What the fuck do I care if everybody knows my pronoun? Which, for the record, look at me. I'm just too cute for two genders, right? But I'm out of the they, them game. Just call me he, him, or she, or I'm he, him to the girls. That's all I know. Right? But no. Sorry, I'm being a little cheeky. But my point is, I care about having a robust healthcare system that everybody can access, that poor people and disabled people and people of color and black people and native people and trans people can access. And that is more important to me than our pronouns. But we put a lot of attention and energy into people getting us right? And that's not where we came from. Fucking academia ruined us. We used to be on these fucking streets. We were the organizers. And to be honest with you, the black ones still are. We're not out having cultural battles for the most part, right? When everybody was like, get Dave Chappelle off the line. Okay, now I'm yapping way too fucking much. I gotta go. And I did not talk about the Linka. Okay, you know what? Really quickly, they fucking crushed. Yeah, this will be the longest one we do this week. I'm so sorry. Except for our interview. But I'll just say this, right? AFD was fucking smashing the game, right? Because we did say 45 to an hour. So, okay. And I won't do a question this time, but the alternative for Germany, right? This was the anti-immigrant, transphobic, fucking fascistic, right, like far right extremist group in Germany that has, like, I just want to give you a bit of a backdrop, right? They doubled their support in just 4 years, right? 20.8%. That is massive. It's 4 years, right? And they were Elon backed. So when Elon was out here doing his little fucking sig hail, yeah, okay. So they spread out from their support base in the east to become the second biggest political force in parliament, right? So why didn't they fully win? Right? Why aren't they in the next government to be? Because we know that it's going to be like Merz, right? So why? Even though it came second, the AFD is blocked from being part of the next government because of a firewall, right? A Brandmauer. Am I saying that right? I told you that I couldn't do Google Translate anymore because it was just too many white people yelling at me. I watched a couple of YouTube videos and I was like, everything just, it's too much, but okay. So they're, this is operated. This is like a firewall that's operated, Brandmauer, operated by Germany's main parties, which means it will not cooperate with any party seen as extremist since the end of World War II. Incredible. Turns out that fascism is bad and has a long, long echo life. So the AFD's leader, Alice Weidel, she insists it's libertarian and conservative and not racist. And I'm like, when you got to say that shit, not racist, bitch. But its big increase in public support has coincided with a series of deadly attacks in the past 9 months, all allegedly by immigrants. You see how it's the same shit here? They're saying the same shit here, but then when you look into it, not real, right? Or there'll be a single issue. It's amazing to me that one person, right? And I don't want to minimize the trauma or the devastation that any family member would feel, right? But they took one situation of a woman being killed by a migrant and ran with it. And I'm like, so how come that's systemic, but planes falling from the fucking sky is not a systemic problem? Fuck you guys. You know what I mean? Anyway, so, you know, they want to deport immigrants. They want to deport migrants. They're in favor of mass deportation. And they don't not only want to mass deport, they don't want to only deport migrants. They want to deport their descendants, right? So they tried to reclassify, and in May 24, a German court rejected it, right? So why was this so significant, right? Because they might not have won full power, but it's very significant, massive. Why? Germans voted in their biggest turnout in 40 years, right? So not since 1987 has the turnout been as high as 82.5% in a German election. And that was 3 years before the unification of the East and West. I remember when the whole wall coming down thing, right? So 4 years ago it was 76.6. Put simply, more than 4 in every 5 of Germany's 59.2 million voters turned out. This reflects how fucking energized and serious Germans have become about their elections, right? And it's a pivotal moment. There were 9 televised debates in the final stretch of the campaign, which obviously reflects the broad interest of the audience. So what happened? Why do I keep bringing this up? Ooh, fuck, we're actually going to hit past an hour for the first time. That's not a fucking interview. Jesus, what's wrong with me? Okay. I'll be so fast. Okay. The TikTok brought the left back from the fucking dead, y'all. This is what I'm talking about. Like, we have to be out in these streets yapping our shit, So until a few weeks ago, the left party looked fucking dead in the water, just doomed, right? Doomed. Until Sarah went the fuck off and founded her own more populist party with 8 other MPs, right? Shit, I should have looked up how to pronounce this. Oh God, I'm going to do it right now. Jesus, here we go. You know what? You guys are going to do this with me. Because I read it. Here we go. So, while I'm talking about, so she, I just keep saying she. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go. All right, here we go. Here we go. What? Wagon Connect? Fuck.
Some of them have seen it before, and
This
they're
is a
still
stupid
in
ad.
awe just as much as they were
Just
when
let
they
it
saw it in a
happen.
video.
Let me just, this is not my ad. Here we go.
And maybe even more
Shut
so
up,
when they get
Skip.
Wagen Knecht.
Wagon Connect.
Wagen Knecht.
Wagen Connect. This is, I just gave you an inside view of what a part of my dumbass day looks like. Just me practicing how to say words I don't know how to say. So Wagen Connect's popularity soared for a while as her head of her BSW party, but ultimately fell just below the 5% threshold for getting into parliament. So Die Linke, which came like this whole okay. So Die Linke's co-chair, Reichenach. I'm not looking this one up. I feel like I know Reich. Reichenach went viral. So it's Heidi. Fuck with Heidi, right? Went viral after she gave a speech enthusiastically defending the firewall against the AFD, right? So this like their little AOC, right? She now has 580,000 followers on TikTok, and her post had over 7 million views. Her party secured just under 9% of the vote. Sick. Okay, I'm going to end it here. So the young goat went left and right, and the old stuck to the center. So this is the thing. The Democratic establishment, they still think that they're center, right? Even though we know the Overton window shifted to the right. Here's the thing. The right has seen young people in the manosphere just, well, young women in particular, right, have moved over to the left with more lefty principles, right? And let's be really clear. We know that socialism, socialist, and then when you actually talk about it, you're like, oh wait, it's kind of awesome, but it literally already exists for the rich. Anyway, those viral videos help secure an entire quarter of the 18 to 24-year-old vote, and right behind them, of course, was the AFD. So what we need is our left to actualize. And it's very different here. Yeah, we already talked about it very briefly yesterday with the super PACs and everything else. Very different. But, just for now, where we get to, as hard as everything is, as shitty as it is, we get to try some shit out. We get to throw paint at the wall and see what happens, right? We get to, they're breaking shit down, and it sucks. And, there are going to be people who are going to be seriously hurt by this. And our job is to be there anyway. And it's going to suck. I love me a little FAFO, but when you got Elon Musk who's saying that, I'm not saying that to people. If you change your mind, you've got a home with me. That's how I feel about it. But if you're a fucking bigot, eat a cock. You know what I mean? Eat a dick, bitch. Like, I don't have time for a fascist. No, not for them, So Vidal got more than 935,000 followers on TikTok. But I love this story because when we fight, we win. And we said that. I don't know why Schumer and these other fucking losers started taking our shit, but that's just it. When the activation point happens, we return to Black liberation theory to guide us and see us through. This is a great time for us to take every lesson we learned from Occupy up to, everything and combine it. But also, we get to try some shit. We get to put our mark on everything. This is the great battle of beliefs. So never minimize an idea, because everything about this fucking system, everything is about stopping the idea from happening in the first place. If you make us small as possible, if you make us struggle, if you gut our education and steal our imagination, right? If you sell us the lie and say that the reason why you don't have the kind of life you want. Not because you don't have health care. Not because you're in debt. Not because you can't even you couldn't afford an ambulance fucking ride, right? Not because our education system is fucking non-existent. If you don't have a good life, it's your fault. That's what they tell you. That's what they want. And it's so that you never, ever have the idea that maybe there's something wrong with the entire fucking system itself. All right, I better shut the fuck up. But I finally got through an entire thing, but it took me an hour and 5 minutes. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, y'all. I really hope. But just remember those 5 points of debate. I could only mention the one, but derailment. What about black on black crime, right? Tokenization. My girlfriend is Asian, right? Hurt. I feel really unsafe having this conversation right now. Reduction, right? I don't think they really meant it that way when they said it, and like minimization, right? It was just a joke. Those 5 strategies I have found have been are the most used, right? It was just a joke. Why do you care? Or reduction is another example. Is like, it's not like slavery has always existed in every generation, right? So they use these things. And the whole point is to keep you on a back foot. The whole point is to put you in a position where you have to prove these things exist. Throw it right fucking back at them, right? It's not like they're the only people who hasn't enslaved. Oh, and then you get to hit them with. So should you get to? I don't know. It's late now, and I need carbs and calories. But there's a moment where you actually take the power back, right? Do you have a problem with me talking about the Atlantic slave trade? No. I'm just saying that there's other kind. Yeah. So why are you being weird about me talking about this one? Should we not aspire to learn? Put it back. Push them back. Don't give a fucking inch. Don't give a fucking inch of ground. Practice. We're going to do it together. We are going to dissect. We're going to practice. And we're going to talk shit because honestly, we don't owe these fucking whores explanations, right? These money whores. No. We owe our whores explanations. That's for us, not them, us. Anybody who wants to know, anybody who's curious, anybody who wants to learn something, anybody who cares about other people. That's who we owe the explanation to. Anytime that somebody has tried to make a spectacle out of us, you take that shit back. Because all they do is talk about how we are spectacles and look at your hair and look at this and I can't believe you're that dark or whatever it is, right? Fuck. We know how to wrest power from people who don't want us to have it. And you want to know how I know that we know? Because you're still fucking here. That's how I know. You're still here. You didn't die. Every time somebody took something from you, took power from you, right? Told you that you weren't shit implicitly or explicitly. We don't care. We don't care. You don't come to caring because you were given everything. You come to it because you knew at some point that you needed to be the thing for others that you desperately needed for yourself at some point. And that invited that care back to you. That's why. Anyway, oh my God. All right. I'm going to hit that fucking outro music. Jesus. I just want to say thank you so much for listening to Dark Woke. It means the world to me. The show really is a labor of love. We got new episodes dropping every day of the week. We're available everywhere podcasts are. If you love the show, please feel free to support it as best you can. We're at Patreon.com/darkwoke. I love doing this work, and I love doing it with you. Don't forget, I want to hear from you. Send your questions to darkwokejfk@gmail.com. Shout out to KR and to Carolyn. And shout out to you, the listeners that make it all possible. Love you. Peace.